On the outskirts of brawling prison middle of nowhere, there was a narrow dirt road where no one really walked except for one. Nathan was a prison guard who had been stationed at the facility for 3 years. Most of his days were spent walking the perimeter, ensuring the fences were intact, and checking the surveillance cam, all while trying to escape the heavy silence of the remote, desolate place. One late afternoon, as Nathan walked along the path inside the barbed wire, he noticed a small dog, thin, covered in dirt, and looking frightened, was sitting by the fence, staring at him, eyes full of uncertainty. Nathan had always been a bit of a loner. He'd grown used to the solitude, even in a place filled with people. His job, though dull and off thankless, had given him some semblance of purpose, but seeing the dog, weak, gruffy, was an unexpected twist to his routine. It was a sight he couldn't ignore. "Hey there, little guy," Nathan muttered off, taking a few cautious steps toward the dog. The dog looked up, its tail flicking nervously, but not running away. Its ribs were visible under fur, and it seemed to be in desperate need of food. Nathan hesitated for a moment, then reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the half-eaten sandwich he'd brought for lunch. The dog sniffed the sand for cautiously, except devouring hungrily as if it hadn't eaten in days. Nathan watched the mixed pity and admiration. The dog was clearly asleep. When the food was gone, the dog sat up straight, still on Nathan. "Where did you come from, huh?" Nathan asked, though the dog could hardly answer. "Don't belong here." The dog didn't move, but it seemed to follow Nathan as he continued his round, as if it had decided that Nathan was the only thing worth sticking around. For the next few days, Nathan would find the dog in the same spot by the fence, and each time he would share whatever food he. Sometimes was a leftover sandwich, other times it was a few scrap meat. Slowly, he began to look forward to these brief, quiet moments with the dog. Despite the rules of the prison, Nathan found himself breaking one. He was hotel, but there was something different. Something in its eyes made Nathan feel less alone. The isolation had become. Eventually, the dog started following Nathan into the guard, sitting quietly by his feet. As Nathan, the dog never made a sound, but at present, the hours seemed to go fast. The dog, Nathan could almost forget he was stationed prison, surrounded by men who had committed terror crimes. But things changed one cold, rainy evening. Nathan was stationed by the southern fence, walking the perimeter as usual, when he saw a group of inmates gathered near the far end. They were talking in hushed voice, clearly up to something. Nathan's instinct kicked in, and he moved to investigate. But just as he reached for his radio call for backup, the dog, running from the shadows, barking furious and darting between Nathan's legs. The inmate, startled by the sudden noise, scattered in all directions. Dog barking grew louder, and it rushed toward the nearest prisoner, leaping at him with a growl. Nathan quickly ran to the scene, shouting for the dog to stop, but it was clear the dog had decided to protect. Prisoners, already scared, took off into the night, vanishing into the dark forest beyond the. Nathan, stunned and grateful, knelt down to the dog. His heart raced. "You saved Ray." The dog, fur wet from the rain, wagged a tail and nuzzled Nathan's hand. It was clear now this Ray had found a purpose: to look after the man who had once fed. For the first time since he'd arrived at prison, Nathan felt something he hadn't felt in years: real gratitude. From that night on, Nathan couldn't imagine his out. He named it Diesel, after the strength had shown, and he took the dog in as unofficial. Though it was against the rules to have an animal in the facility, no one said. Prisoners had seen the dog loyal, and the guards respected the bond between Nathan and Diesel. Together they patrolled prison's perimeter, and in the stillness of the night, shadows stretched long across the yard. Nathan would often look down at Diesel, knowing that Ray had become more than pet. Diesel had become his friend, the one creature in the world that truly understood the loneliness in a place where darkness ruled. Two of them had found glimmer